Megan Thomas, mom,
That's true.
attorney,
Yep.
badass, like woman. Like, let me just, I don't know if there's a better way to say it. Powerhouse in our community. Welcome to the Truthfully Tracy podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I am so glad to have you here.
I'm always so glad anytime we get to chat. We always have the best talks and I enjoy it.
We do. It
Yeah.
just flows. There's like this understanding, there's connection that happens. And I have been watching you, and along with many, over the past year. And so you have been on my list to get in this seat because I just want people to hear from you. And what a perfect opportunity than the podcast. So
Perfect.
yes. So I want to know, let's tell the community a little bit more about Megan, like who she is outside of this attorney we see. Like, who is Megan?
So I love being around my family and friends. Basically, I'm very social. And so I grew up in a big family, and that is something I have maintained to this day. I really enjoy spending time with my sisters and their kids, and my kiddos running around the park and going for hikes, and my husband. And then I've got a lot of great friends in this community. That's really, to me, what has made this community for me. Yeah. We actually moved here from Brooklyn I came here to go to law school. My husband got his PhD. We thought we'd go back to a big city. And I remember when the time came, I was like, no, I can't leave. I love it here. I have so many good friends. You know, it's such a great community. I wasn't ready, and we got lucky. He got a job at SU, and here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So something was drawing you here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be honest, not initially. Initially, I was like, I'll come, I'll stay for a little while. I loved the snow. I was excited about it, but I thought I'd, be in Boston or New York City or Chicago, but it just didn't feel right, especially once we had kids.
Yeah.
And I really fell in love with this community.
So you started out in what type of law? Like, where did you begin?
So I was a teacher for 6 years before I went to law school. So when I was in law school, I thought, I'm going to do education law. This makes sense. A plus B, 1 plus 1 equals 2. This is totally logical. Turns out I hated education law. I tried twice. I did an internship on the student side, helping students. And I don't know. I wasn't getting a lot out of it. I wasn't feeling excited by it.
Yeah, it wasn't lighting you up.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
And for me, that's something that's really important.
Same.
So then I tried the school side, which was really not good for me because I just felt guilty about telling students they couldn't get, they couldn't get the services they needed. It was really not the right space for me. And so then I moved into litigation, and I loved that. That was it for me. And I never would have thought that. At different points in my life, I've been probably a little more shy. It was hard for me to speak in public. So who would have thought I would love the courtroom? But I did. And it helped me kind of get over that too, I think.
Wow.
So I had to. It was like a hurdle. And I love a good challenge. I was like, all right, if I want to be in the courtroom, I need to be comfortable speaking in front of people. So that was what I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was that feeling in you? Was it like a challenge, like a light up, like a fire? Like, what was that?
It's so interesting. I think for me, I love problem solving.
Okay.
And problem solving in the moment is the ultimate challenge, right? You're in the courtroom, you're in an appellate argument, you have to answer the questions there in the moment. For appellate, for a trial, you have to think so quickly on your feet for objections, all of that. And I love that. Yeah.
And you have to take the emotion out of it, in a lot of ways, or channel it. So you have to be able, this is very complex.
Yes.
You have to read what's coming at you in a very quick way. You have to come up with a response.
Yep. And
channel the whatever emotion you are feeling in a way that doesn't come directly through your word.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It's not, it's a skill. It takes time. But now that I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, I love doing it. And it's really fun for me.
Is this something you're taught in law school? Or is this something that's that attorneys just learn as they work?
So you get a little taste of it in law school. And I do think that's where I first kind of figured out that I love this. You have to generally be on like a team, appellate team, moot court, something like that. And I was on the appellate team. That helped me to realize I love this, like having to, jump and think on my feet in the moment. But then I did take a trial class as well, and that was helpful too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really complex. It really is. Because you got to take your stuff out of it too.
Yeah.
So as much as it might be triggering something in you have to be able to stay present in the moment. And wow, okay. I'm looking at this all differently now, Meg. Okay, so you started there and now you own your own practice.
That's right. Yeah.
So how did that transition happen?
So I think probably the seed had been planted a long time ago. I think we've talked about this a little bit before the podcast started, but my personality, perhaps yours too, is to be a truth teller and sometimes a bit of a disruptor, and that might make me a bit of a hard person to employ at times. I'm generally really good, but it's like I see things, and I can't not say them. I'm like, ooh, this is
God, that hits.
We can't. No, guys, you can't do that. And so I feel like I'm always that person, and I think that's been a really important part of my journey is speaking up and saying, this isn't right. We need to treat people better. We need to do this better, whatever it is. That's kind of how I have operated. But now that I run my own practice, it's like, I just make those decisions. And I love that for myself. And I think I needed that. So a little piece of that seed was planted when I kind of would see these things happening when I was at various places. I worked for some places that were really, truly amazing. And some places that maybe, just weren't a right fit. But all through this common thread was, I kind of wanted to be able to do some things myself. And I just felt like I could do it. And so eventually, I did it. I saw this opportunity in the market. I saw that there was a lot of women, that were dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace. The laws in New York State are quite favorable to women and to victims, in general, but then there's not enough attorneys to do this kind of work. And so I just thought, what a great opportunity, and also how sad that there's not really someone there. And I thought, okay, I'll do 20% of my work will be sexual harassment. There's not really that much out there, and discrimination. And I'll do family law or something on the side. I'll figure it out. I've done other things. And right away, it's totally, I haven't done nothing else but sexual harassment and discrimination. So that's kind of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had met for lunch before you made this jump.
Yes.
And that was kind of your plan. You knew you were going to tap into this a little bit.
At some point. Yeah.
But clearly there were other plans for you.
Yeah, it was so scary. And I think, again, at multiple points in my life, I had thought, maybe not for sexual harassment specifically, but I had thought, okay, I want to do this thing at some point in my career, but I always thought it'd be later. But yeah, at some point it just felt right. I saw, again, the gap in the market. My heart is there too. I have a lot of empathy for people who've gone through this. I've gone through this myself. I have a lot of friends who've gone through it and who really didn't have anyone there to support them or had to really search to find someone. So that's kind of where that was born from.
Wow. As you talk about it, I was thinking about it before the podcast, and I'm not sure I have been in a job where I haven't experienced.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even thinking back to my first college job. I was a manager at Panera, and the district manager, I look back now and can see how I was groomed from just a college freshman as a cashier to a management position, but how he groomed me in such a way. And I never felt safe around him.
Yeah.
I never felt safe around him. And, but I had no words, and I didn't have enough maturity or knowledge to know what was actually happening during that time. And then when I finally left that position, I felt guilty. I felt like I was letting him down, and he had no problem making me feel that way too. Right.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Right. And so I'm not sure there has been a job where I haven't had to mold around that.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of my clients will call me with this fear. And I know I've had it too. Is it me? Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there's a certain type of person who does continually get this treatment, and it's nothing we're doing wrong. It's all good things. It's type A, hard worker, sometimes a people pleaser, all these things that we have, been doing our whole lives, but it makes us kind of the perfect prey for sexual harassment because we care so much about the work. We won't speak up. We care so much about what people think, and it's really disturbing. But I will tell you, a lot of my clients are like, same thing that you're just saying, like, it's happened to me so many times and I feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah. Or I'm doing something. What am I doing that is attracting this type of behavior all the time? And I do think there are personality traits. I do think it's an energy that just has been taken advantage of time and time again. And so when you're finally ready to like put up a boundary, or it's very uncomfortable.
Totally.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's something I've struggled with so much. It's like, when is it okay to, open up to other people and let them in because of this like repetitive pattern. But I don't want to change myself. I don't want to change the person that I am. I am like an open person, a kind, empathetic person. I don't want to change that.
Right.
And that's something I've struggled with a lot. And again, my clients are telling me the same things. So I'm glad you've said that. But the way that I've dealt with it more recently is just kind of stepping into my power and yes, having more boundaries, but in a way that doesn't change who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard.
That just gave me goosebumps.
It's like taking me, so much of my life to figure this out, but here I am
like
trying to figure it out.
I don't have to dim my light.
Yes.
I just have to boundary up. Like only certain people get access to those parts of me.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so because you're right, those type of individuals, they attract it all.
Yeah.
They attract the good, the bad, the ugly, like all of it. And it's deciphering what type of energies you allow around you.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh, that's such a good point.
And I don't think we know that or see that until we have enough experiences, until we mature enough. And then it's stepping into that power, like it's stepping into that person.
Right. And caring less, too.
And caring less.
This is the trend.
Caring less. Like, people aren't going to like you. Like,
that's
it's that people pleaser.
Yeah.
Like, it gets super triggered because people are really not going to like you anymore.
That's right. And that's okay.
And I
had to finally be okay with that. So, again, I think that's part of stepping into your power, too. Not letting anyone else dim your light, not caring so much about what other people think, and just being bold, about it. And we've talked about this too. Like, I think a lot about like what I want for my kids, how I want them to operate in the world, how I want them to feel, I want them to feel empowered and happy.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes.
And themselves,
and
unapologetically.
And we know as educators, like children will model after what they see, not what they hear. Right. So it is within our actions that's what they're paying attention to.
Right.
So, so when you stepped into this power, Meg, was there fear? Was there apprehension? Were all the things coming up?
Everything. Yes. I was terrified, but I was also really excited.
Okay.
So it was this really interesting, mix of feelings where I was like, oh my God, like, what if I can't, pay for my kids to keep going to the school that they love so much, or for their activities, or, what if it's like hard to make our mortgage payment, like all of these things, for a long time I was the breadwinner, and that was a role that I really valued and I wanted. But it was also a lot of pressure in the sense that if I wanted to try something different, it might require some changes to our family dynamics. But so far it's been going great. That was not the case. And although I felt so apprehensive and scared, I think the feelings of excitement and believing myself really won out. And so that helped me to not like live day to day in anxiety. I would have moments for sure, especially before I started. But once I started, I will tell you, like, I was so invested in the work. I cared so much about it. I just felt like this is all going to work out. And I will figure it out. Again, if I need to add in some other kinds of work, I'll do that. If I need to do some work on the side for another entity, I'll do that. I'm going to make this work. And that helped me to have some peace of mind.
Yeah. And it didn't take long for you to see the type of people you have a full caseload. I mean, I can't imagine how you're balancing it now.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I see it from the mental health lens of like safe space where women that are in these situations. So in many ways, the two fields overlap.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure people are coming out of the woodwork.
Yes. Yeah. There's people who have called me and said, I saw your advertisement. I saw the article about the airport billboard, whatever it is, and have said, I just didn't even know there was someone out there who could help me. I'm so glad that you're here. And honestly, I've had to turn away a lot, which is really sad. So I'm working on how can I build this practice to help even more people? And I'm just not there yet. I'm taking it one step at a time, trying to be incredibly responsible about this growth and mindful. But yeah, there's a ton of work. I mean, last month I got almost 100 calls or inquiries.
Wow.
Which is just, a lot. And now I have some people who can help with the intake, which is great, but I'm still the only attorney at the practice. So again, that'll be a change at some point.
Right. And your mom. And
I'm a mom,
you have 2 young girls and and a wife. And it's you still need to balance the responsibilities outside of it.
Totally. But this is so much better when I'm, kind of in the driver's seat here. So here's what I say to a lot of other professionals. I'm like, being a lawyer, being a teacher, being a doctor, whatever, it's hard enough. But when you have someone else micromanaging you, doing all that, that makes it so much harder. So I've been in that space too. Not always, right? But I've had experiences where my time was so micromanaged and I already was dealing with these very difficult situations. Work-wise. And so now I feel free, I'm okay, yeah, I've got a ton to do, but it's fine. I'll wake up at 5. I'll work for 2 hours. I'll get the kids, I make it work. It's okay.
Yes.
And I do a lot of work from the dance studio parking lot.
I love that.
Yep. There's another attorney next to me. She's in her car. I'm like, is your hotspot working? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, good.
I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's so motivating for the moms out there that are just trying to balance it all.
Yeah,
I had
tough.
a moment this past week where I was on a training at 7:00 at night, and my daughter walked in and she was like, "I feel like you're choosing work over us or over me." And she first of all, I applauded her for coming in and saying that because that's what she truly was feeling. And I was like, "Oh, honey, if you only knew that I'm choosing this only because of you, right? The life to build and the person I want you to become." And it opened up this beautiful conversation, but
good.
They see all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
So you hit on this little airport thing, you snuck this in. So I'm so going to go revisit this. Okay. Take us back to the beginning. And for anyone that may have seen the Syracuse.com stuff and people that got posted throughout the last, 3 months or so, how did this situation with the airport come up and start?
Yeah. Okay. I was, business was going well. And I'm like, all right, I want to spend some more money on advertising because I'm hearing from my clients, again, that they don't know that someone is out there who can help them. I've got to get more visible. And so a lot of my clients have these sad stories where they are traveling to, with, or from a creepy employer, maybe a colleague, maybe a boss, whatever it is. And a lot of these things happen on business trips. And so I thought the airport is the perfect place for me. I think it's targeted advertising. I think it's just, again, right place, right time kind of situation. And I even I had very intense thoughts about it has to be either right when they're getting on the plane or right when they're getting off the plane. That's when you're, I don't know, just most attentive to I'm about to go someplace or I'm coming back from someplace. And this was this intense experience. So I called the airport and set up a tour. And the woman who, showed me around was lovely. And I even told her some ideas. I was like, okay, I've got this idea. We've all got 99 problems. A creepy boss shouldn't be one, and she's like, haha, it's so, great. So whatever, I sign up, I pick a spot that I was really excited about. And I designed this pink billboard, and I submit the artwork, and then I basically got the response, there's some more back and forth here, but that it was going to be rejected. And I was like, why? And this woman told me it was because she got the feedback that it could be considered intimidating to men. And I actually thought this was a joke.
Just lights a fire in me.
I know. I was on vacation at the time, so I was probably in a jovial, chill mood. Anyway, I was like, okay, who put you up to this? That's literally what I was thinking in my mind. And then I call her and she's just dead serious, She's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I know you're upset. I get it. But that was the answer. And so from there, I talked to somebody else at the airport. He told me there was no First Amendment issue. they just were stonewalling me. I feel like they felt like they could do whatever they wanted. And I pushed back. They said local politicians are going to be upset. They don't want to see this. I was like, that's interesting. Like, what local politicians are you referring to? Because I could see a lot of them being very supportive of this. So then that kind of like made me think to go call and email a bunch of local politicians and say, hey, I'm trying to get this ad up at the Syracuse airport. They're rejecting it. And a lot of people are very supportive. So it's like each time they had an argument, I would try to like come back at them, and they never back down. So that was one argument. Another argument has been that it's, bringing up sensitive topics to children. Have you been to the Syracuse airport recently? Like, seriously.
You're right. Breast augmentation and all these other ads on women changing their bodies. And like, that's what we see.
Yes.
That's what we see.
Also,
and that's okay.
That's fine for kids. Which, listen, I everyone should do whatever they want. I have no judgment, no shame, whatever.
Agreed.
I am supportive of that, but also my ad is fine. Like, if that's fine, then my ad is fine. Similarly, there's a family law attorney there. That's a sensitive topic for kids. If that's okay, then mine's okay. And that's the point. I'm not trying to say anyone else's ad shouldn't be there. I'm just saying there's a lot out there right now that is, probably starting some very interesting conversations with kids. But my ad certainly is one that I think is a conversation that should be had with children. Yes, you shouldn't be treated poorly at work. No one should be touching you at work. No one should be making you feel emotionally or physically unsafe at work.
Right.
It's not complicated.
No, not at all. It's a great topic to bring up with your children.
Right.
So they continue to push back. And what a beautiful representation of who you are and what you're trying to do. Like, it was literally living out on display, and showed exactly what people are up against every day.
That's right.
And what we have normalized and what we just take, and the responses that we're done just taking.
That's right. Yeah. And that's how I felt. I was like, again, I'm on vacation while this all happens. I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to do about this. And then when I got back, I was like, I can't let it go. Like, this is the whole point, Also, how many guys' faces are on billboards, these attorneys' faces all over, and like the one time a woman tries to like come out here and say like, this is my woman-run law firm, it's a problem. Of course, no, we're not doing this. And so that's when I really decided to kind of lean into this. I also did go back and forth at the airport. I tried to work it out with them. They weren't having it. Another argument they kept making was, we're going to get a lot of bad publicity for this. I was like, guys, you are getting a lot of bad publicity.
This is on you. This is on you, though.
For not putting it up.
Right.
But they were worried the existence of my ad would give them bad publicity.
Their response
is really
was
problematic.
The reason for the bad publicity.
Correct. Yes. So we're in a lawsuit right now. We're waiting for the judge's decision.
Okay.
We'll see. It's been a lot of late night writing for me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But good for you, Meg. Good for you.
Thanks.
Just one small, and not small. I can't imagine what comes at you every day, realistically. So when you were I thought about this when you were responding before, when you're in the courtroom and you're bringing these truths, when you're speaking these things up, do you think the other side can see it? Like, do you think there's still a population that is unaware that there is anything wrong with their behavior?
100%.
Okay.
Yes. So the most important people in the courtroom are the jury, and my goal is always to get through to them. But yeah, the defense team is oftentimes very closed off to this. And, we see a lot of things happening in the gray area where, and I haven't had a case like this go to trial, but a lot of my cases happen pre-litigation. So most of my cases are negotiations.
Yep.
Working to try to figure this out, because the reality is that the offender doesn't want this public, right? And then my client, doesn't necessarily want to be dragged through the mud in a trial, but will if needed. More so it's the other side that's really pushing, like, okay, let's just get this done. And so we do a lot of negotiating. But even in those spaces, I'm hearing the most disturbing statements about women and about their experiences. And just, it's very unempathetic, which is really disturbing. And just shows that there's not a lot of understanding about what women are going through regularly. Kind of like you were talking about. When has this not happened?
Right. This has always been happening.
Yeah.
We're finally saying enough.
Yeah, exactly. And we can finally speak up about it.
Right.
It's kind of like the experience of, a man and a woman go for a run. Like a woman has to think about, is it light enough? Did I bring peppers? Am I being safe enough? A guy doesn't have to think about any of that. They just get to go do the run. And I think that's a very helpful way to illustrate this point about the workplace. When a woman is getting a new job, she's like, okay, is there anyone creepy there? I mean, I've literally gotten a new job and been like, emailed a bunch of my friends, like, what about this guy? Like, is he cool? Is he nice? Like, what's the deal? You have to do your research and your background work. You have to worry about things like business trips or all these other things, especially if you've had bad experiences in the past. You have to be so aware and careful in a way that men don't have to be.
No. And I think it's not even on their radar in that way. And I've had this open conversation with male friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can see it in their eyes. Like they can't even fathom.
Yeah.
They don't understand the constant state of protection that most women have to be under at work, out in the community. Like you're constantly like looking and second guess, like your nervous system is constantly going.
That's right. Yeah.
And I because they aren't brought up in that type of a situation, they just can't, they have no awareness around it.
That's right. And my thing is, that is unfortunately a reality that exists, but we need these laws in the workplace and protections of women and others to make sure that it's an even playing field. Yes. Because how much harder is it to do your job when you're worrying about those things? Now, for most of my clients, it's not just that they're dealing with sexual harassment. As I tell a lot of my clients, I'm like, well, if you're dealing with sexual harassment, I can almost guarantee there's a discrimination case there too, because the same people who will do that, who will, harass people, will also be discriminating against women. So sometimes you have both, sometimes you have one or the other, but similarly, two people do the same job, a man and a woman is required to meet such a higher standard. Her time is micromanaged. She's made to account for all the places she's been, all the things she's doing. Again, not everywhere, right? And let's keep working towards that, but I'm seeing it way too often. And that's another reality that we have to worry about.
Yes. And there's so much projection happening in those situations. And so I think for me, I always was like, there was a part of me that held back because I'm like, they don't see that they're doing it. Like, how do I bring awareness to somebody that, like, do they mean, like, I don't know. I was always just second guessing or questioning because I was more afraid of the impact that was going to come back at me if I said anything.
Totally. Yes. And a lot of people worry about that. I have worried about that at times too, because you start gaslighting yourself.
Yes,
because
exactly
that voice, it's like it gets in your head, and you start thinking like, "Is it me? Am I imagining this?" Well, you know what? Numbers don't lie, and so that's what I tell my clients a lot too. Like, okay, like, is there a guy doing similarly situated work? Yes. I just had this call recently. Yes. Is he making the same amount of you? No, he's making more. Does he have the same title as you? No, he has a different title, a better title. Do you have the same experience? No, I have 8 years more experience.
Gosh, oh my God.
This is literally what I'm hearing all the time. It's crazy. And I'm like, oh, yep, you also have a discrimination claim. It's like,
yeah.
And again, these things are just so common. And I do think some industries are worse than others. It's interesting. I'm seeing the same industries come up over and over again, but also there are places where no one has spoken up and challenged the status quo. And so I always tell these clients, like, good for you, because you're not just standing up for yourself. You're standing up for the next person too.
Wow. And that makes a lot of sense if they're male dominated or if they are just like, I won't ask what certain industries, but I can take a guess. Because I think for the longest of time, women have just known what their place is in and they just know what to expect. They know what's going to happen. And that's so sad to even think about.
Well, and it's a lot of very professional environments, very male-dominated environments, wherein maybe you're the first woman to do this or you're the second woman to do this. And so you don't want to speak up because you were lucky enough to get here. And even though you're working twice as hard as all the guys, you're still lucky to be there. And they will remind you of that under no uncertain terms. And so again, when someone like that speaks up, it kind of jolts the whole culture in a positive way. And one thing that's it's this really interesting aspect of what I do is a lot of when I reach a negotiation, it's confidential. And I've struggled with this thought. My clients have struggled with this. Like, isn't that just perpetuating the cycle? But actually, I've learned that it's not, because essentially money is the only thing that talks for people who are resistant to change. Like, it's 2025. We all know this isn't appropriate now, but they're resistant to change for whatever reason. And money does help to make some change. And so I really try to send that message home to my clients. Like, I know you feel frustrated. I know you wish you could do more. But this actually does more than you think it does. And I'll get these calls like months later, guess what? This person was finally let go, or this person was demoted. So it does have an impact oftentimes later. Yeah. That's even beyond the negotiation.
Yeah. It's slow. It's going to be, right? Yeah. Like, the work you're doing is shifting generations of a way that things have always been, right? Well,
it's been too long. It's taken too long, in my opinion, to get to this position. So yeah, I'm ready to jolt the system. But also the other thing you see a lot is like a repeat offender. So you'll see something bad happen to your client, and then the other side's like, well, it wasn't a big deal. This didn't happen, whatever it is. And then it'll happen again. That's another thing. You're like, ugh. So that adds validation to their claim. So if you have a client like that, and their case is going through and then they see it happen again, that helps their claim as well. But unfortunately, there's a lot of repeat offenders in this area.
I believe that. I had a situation in my 20s where I actually had to go to the police for someone, and 17 women came forward.
17. Oh my God.
It was on the news, and I was very, very young and very, just wanted it to be over, you know, but the most validating thing was, I'm sure there were so many more than 17, right? Right. There were 17 that came forward from hearing, but how many women remain silent?
Yeah.
How many times did this happen before?
That is so sad.
It is. And so I believe that. I believe that once these individuals, are attracted to a certain personality type, a certain group of people, and will repeat and repeat and repeat until something steps in their way.
That's right. Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of really great men in the workplace, and I've certainly worked with and for a lot of them. And this is the minority, not the majority.
And I'm so glad you're saying that.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people hear me and they're like, oh my God, she's so angry. I'm like, no, I'm actually not. Like, I'm actually like a really nice, fun person. I'm just angry about this issue because it's a real problem. But also, most people out there are great, but this is, just like you were saying, it's the same type of person over and over again. It's usually someone who's very narcissistic, who has no empathy, and who is just doing this over and over again. And they think they're above the law. So I do see that a lot. But again, most people in the industry, all these industries are great. But one thing that I think could help too is like other men coming forward when they do see these things happening and saying, this is not okay.
Yes.
If you see something, say something. I mean, really, that could avoid a lot of these situations. It could have helped in so many of my clients' cases.
I think there are men there that are intimidated or afraid of this personality trait as well, though, because there is this false sense of confidence, right? This false sense of authority. And most of the time it's how they've gotten to the positions they've gotten to. And I know you saw my Disrupt talk. It's an energy you feel very quickly, like when you walk into a place of work. And so I do think that men remain quiet because it's safer for them too in these situations.
Well, and again, the industries I'm talking about are professional industries where people are making a lot of money. And so I think, it's also very self-interested too. It's like, well, this person's doing well for this practice. We've got to let him do his thing.
Yeah. We're all doing well because of him.
Yep. And there's a lot of that. And I think we need to start seeing that actually people like that are a liability to their organization. And they could get sued for a lot of money. And also it's just wrong. It's wrong to treat people this way. And if you're really trying to fill in gaps with younger people, in workplaces, you've got to change this mentality and change this way of treating other humans around you.
Absolutely. And I love how you just spun that, because they are a liability.
Yeah.
And that's really the lens we should be taking.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're bringing awareness, you're bringing voice, you're bringing fire, you're bringing hope, you're bringing so much to this field, Meg. You
Thank
really
you.
are. And I'm watching men and women cheer you on. So like you said,
Yeah.
we're not targeting anybody with
Right.
and there are women in this field too,
Yeah.
that fall into this category
Totally.
too. It's not, it doesn't come down to a sex thing.
It really doesn't. Yeah. And I see that it's interesting with this whole airport ad. I've had so many local male attorneys in the community call me up and be like, "You're doing so great. Keep going. Can I do to help?" Like, everyone's been so supportive. And yeah, I feel like they get it and they understand that we do need to make some changes and that this community does need to be more accepting to everyone. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Have you had any younger women attorneys that want to start to get into this line of work, like have sought you out for mentorship or
Yeah.
have sought you out in that way?
Yeah, it's really flattering. And it feels also just so good. Like, when I was in their shoes, I felt like I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me in these positions, or who had a family or, whatever. It just was different. And so it feels really exciting to be able to be doing something that matters, but also to be showing them that, like, you can do this too. And I'm all about that. I am a big fan of, like, let's bring each other up. There's plenty of room for all of us here. Let's do it. And so I've had that. I give a talk at SU twice a semester. And after the talk, it's a lot of young women coming up to me and saying, like, "Wow, like, I didn't know that, like, this area of the law even existed. Like, what a great idea. I'm so inspired." And again, things I would have loved to have heard as a young person. And so it does feel good to be able to give back.
Yeah. And like, as I hear you speak and tell your story, Meg, it's so clear, like, this was always meant to find you, right? You might have not known, you might have not seen the signs, but like the way that you have aligned yourself, and it just is like, there's no clear sign to me that this is the work you're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you're right. At times, I think I was willfully blind to it. I wanted to try other things. I wanted to do other things. But now I just feel so right. And it's interesting. Like, at other points in my career, I was like chasing awards, chasing things I wanted to, like, basically like accomplishments I wanted to achieve. I don't care about any of that anymore. Nothing, because I'm so happy. I'm like, this is what I wanted. Like, why didn't I see that before? Like, I had the power to make this happen, and to do what it was I really wanted. I just didn't, like, all the dots didn't connect, at that time.
And that fire in you that's now going towards this was going towards the achievements and sort of this, like, not false sense. Like, it was more empty than what you're doing right now.
Yeah. And
so
now,
you just had to realign yourself a little bit.
That's right. And sometimes, life takes you down these different paths and you have these experiences. And I think throughout my life, there's been many experiences that have helped me to come to this realization that this is what I care about. This is so important. There's such a need for this kind of work. So, and also I love running my own business. Like, as much as I love law, like, I love running my own business.
Get it.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. And like, the stresses are like, every time I'm like, this is, I still wouldn't change a thing.
Exactly.
The amount of stress that comes with owning your own and running your own and being an entrepreneur and pivoting and change, like, I wouldn't change a thing.
I agree 100%. Yeah. It's like, I get to make the choice. It's so empowering, even to be in this position where there's so much pressure, it's like, it's fine. I can make the choice to, do a podcast or whatever it is that you want to do. Like, no one gets to say no.
There's no rules, right?
That's right.
Nobody gets to say no.
Yeah.
Like, dream it up and you can do it.
That's right.
I know. And I think we're told that as kids, like, you can do anything you set your mind to, right? Yeah. But realistically, you still feel like there are boxes. You're like, no, I'm supposed to be like a teacher, or no,
That's
I'm
right.
supposed to be, and you can be those things, and
That's
you
right.
can be those things and bring your flair and your
Totally.
past experiences and your gifts
Yeah.
to that and create whatever you want to create.
Exactly. I love it. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. And so before the podcast, you asked, like, what led to the podcast and why I went this route and everything, and that idea of the truth teller.
Yeah.
And like, you're doing that in your work. I'm doing it through this work. I see others doing it through social media or through writing books, or like, so I think that it can come out in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Based on the person. So
Definitely. Yeah. That's why we get along so well. Because we
That's
both
totally
have that like strong truth telling, interest, or like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like not a passion. It's just like this, I can't not do it.
Yeah, I can't either. I feel like it's probably been ingrained in us for generations. I feel like this was before us.
You're right.
But you inspire me, because there are still parts of my truth telling I have not stepped into out of fear and growth, and I still hold back. And so I watch you, Meg, and like, you are an inspiration to me. You really are.
Well, I obviously feel the same way about you. I'm always so impressed with your TED Talk and all the things you're doing. You're amazing. And it's so fun to watch too. And it's so inspiring because, again, we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
We both, I think, we're definitely, people pleasers for a long time, or recovering, I like to say for myself.
I like recovering too.
Recovering people pleaser. And that is really, restricting. And so to finally be able to step out of that is really, really helpful for making real change. And it's not always going to be popular. I feel like making real change can cause make a lot of people upset, cause a lot of disruption. That's like the definition of change, right? But
it is.
It's okay. I've stepped into it.
Right. Which is the biggest fear for a people pleaser.
That's right.
Is disruption, is making waves, is creating anything but calm.
That's
right. So I'd say we're both doing pretty good in that area.
There we go.
But, no, I love that. And I think there are things we mirror in one another, which is why. So how do people find you, Meg? How do they find your practice? What's the best way? What are the clients that should be reaching out? Like, who is your ideal client right now?
So my ideal client is someone who's dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace. Anyone who's dealing with unwanted touching behavior, being asked out on dates, being asked to, or being repeatedly forced to be in a small space with someone. I see that a lot. Like, I don't know why that keeps coming up, but because it's not usually what you think. Like, it's not like, oh, well, this guy keeps asking me out. Like, yes, I see that too. But it's also like more discreet and sneaky. It's like, well, this person, keeps doing things so that it's like just the two of us.
Yes,
on this trip, on this lunch, on this whatever it is. And again, my clients will be like, well, I just, I assume the best. And I'm sure that's not what it is. Like, there's no way until it's too late, and then something like worse happens. Right. And, hopefully not the worst, but like something in the middle usually. And then these women are like, well, how did I miss this? It's like this very similar pattern every time. So my point is, like, if you think maybe it's not enough, maybe what I'm dealing with isn't enough to warrant a phone call, like, give me a call, because a lot of times people will call me and say that. And I'll say, listen, like, let me validate you. Like, that is not appropriate. And that is weird, Right. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, like, that's a problem. Sometimes it's not enough to be legally actionable, but I'll tell them, like, keep contemporaneous notes. That is so crucial to your case. Again, hopefully you never have to use this stuff, but do it. Don't forward emails from your work email to your personal account. Screenshot everything. Keep documentation of all your good performance reviews. That's so crucial too, because a lot of times once you report sexual harassment, then you get retaliated against. It's a sad pattern. So yes, the person who's dealing with that kind of stuff on the day-to-day basis. I also do a lot of discrimination work. So for whatever reason, I've been seeing a lot of pregnancy discrimination recently. I've dealt with a couple of those cases recently, and I don't know why Friday I was like blowing up with pregnancy discrimination. There's something in the air. I don't know what it is. Racial discrimination, disability discrimination, all of that stuff. Those are all things that I do.
Okay.
The best place to find me is you can find me on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, which is mktlaw.com. It's being updated. We're getting a whole new makeover. It's very exciting. Yeah. And the best way to reach me for new clients is, as opposed to calling, is to send me a link through my website, because it gives me a little more information, then I can set up a call.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So women that aren't sure, because we talked about this, we downplay this. We talk ourselves out of it a lot of the time. We say it's not that bad. So if someone's in that situation, it's still okay to send sort of an inquiry.
Totally. In fact, it's advisable, because think about all the people who could have avoided being in such worse situations. Here's the reality. The law is anything more than a petty slight or a trivial inconvenience could be considered sexual harassment. That is different from what it was years ago, which was severe and pervasive.
Wow.
Sexual harassment had to be severe and pervasive. Now the standard is lower, which is great, because we need the workplace to be more equal. And so a lot of times people are like, well, he just comments about my love life and tells me about his sex life. Like, it's not that bad. I'm like, oh, nope, that's legally actionable. Or I know, but think about how easily that could happen.
Oh, and easily. You're having it's happy hour. You guys yes, you can totally normalize that in your head.
Exactly. Or, oh, he just comments on my, body, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. If that makes you uncomfortable, that is also actionable, especially if it's repeated, and especially if you've made it clear that this is not what I want. So people often think they don't have a case when they've had a case for a long time. I am not often having the case where people call and they don't have as much. Again, once in a while I'll say, well, either something did, there were some things there, but we have zero documentation. So start documenting now. That's more so what'll happen. But usually by the time you're feeling uncomfortable, it's time to call.
Okay.
You
do know.
Yeah.
And we ignore that signal so much to keep the peace.
To keep the peace, and think about all these women who worked so hard for their career. You went to school, you went to, graduate school, whatever it is, you did all of these things, you put yourself in the right position, and now you got that dream job and some guy is harassing you. Of course you're not going to speak up.
No, it makes so much sense.
Yeah. But you should, because that's the only way to make change. And also that person isn't going to stop with you. Even if you get out of there, it's going to be someone else next.
Right. Because there's no repercussion. There's no, there's nothing telling them they can't do that.
That's right. That's right.
So they're just going to continue.
That's right.
Because they're getting fed off of something. It's doing something for them.
Right. And if that person is bringing in a lot of money for the company, you 100% cannot trust HR that they will help you. These investigations are a sham. I'm just going to say it. They're not designed to protect you. They're designed to protect the company. And so a lot of my clients, I'll get a call from someone. They're like, well, HR is doing an investigation, so I'm going to wait till that finishes. I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. That investigation is going to find against you. I can almost guarantee it. Does this guy make more money than you? Yes. Has he been there for longer than you? Yes. Okay. Enough said. We know what the results of that investigation will be. So let's just stop. Also, those investigations are really a way for the company to afford itself more time to figure out what to do with you. And often to build a case against you, to say your performance isn't right. You're taking too long on this assignment. I see this happen repeatedly.
Wow. And I was going to ask you that. So you must see this time and time again.
It's the same patterns. Obviously it's always a little different. And something I love about my job is I'm always being challenged intellectually. There's always something different. I've always got to figure out something else. But again, same personality types are the ones harassing. Often the same kind of people are being harassed. Not always. I would say it's more so the harasser who's pretty consistent. And then the way a lot of HR, or companies or the way HR in the company is dealing with it is oftentimes not very ethical. I had someone call me the other day, and she said, HR told me I'm not in a protected class. I was like, that's interesting, because technically everyone's in a protected class.
I was going to say, are there non-protected classes?
Right. You're protected on the basis of sex, gender, all these things, religion, all of it. But you're in a protected class, whether it's at play here, sure, that could be a question. But you're she's like, officially in a protected class, I'm like,
But we don't know this stuff, right? We don't know. We believe authority. We believe people.
We believe HR.
Right. We believe HR.
Don't believe HR. It's the biggest mistake. And there's, again, lovely people in HR too, but they're also being told what to do by someone higher up.
Hired by the company.
Yeah. And I don't get calls about the good HRs out there, right? I don't, know. But the reality is HR is not there to protect you. And I tell my clients, just like I'm not helping the other side, I'm here for you. HR is not here for you. It's here for the company.
Right.
So if you're on the low end of the totem pole, you're not the one who's getting the benefit of that protection.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does, but it's sad.
It's very sad. And I see this in the mental health realm too, that people don't feel safe enough to go to HR when they're experiencing any sort of a mental health crisis because they're there for the company.
Yeah.
So they're there supposedly for the client or for the employees, but they don't feel safe.
Right. But people in that position should also know that there's protections under the law to help them. And, that's all the more reason to get things documented. I tell my clients all the time, if you're dealing with sexual harassment or discrimination in the workplace, make sure you're seeing a therapist. That helps to document your case.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
FMLA discrimination. I see that a lot too. PFL discrimination. Yeah.
Whew.
I know. It's,
I mean, it's exciting. I love that. Meg, I love that you're doing this work.
Thank you.
I love that you're doing this work.
Thanks. I'm glad to be doing it. Again, I always say my job is to put myself out of business. I don't want to be doing this because I don't want it to be a problem, but as long as it's there, I'm here for it.
You're doing it.
Totally here for it.
And we're cheering you on.
Thank you.
Supporting, rising you up, girl, as much as we possibly can in this community.
Thank you. Same.
All right. And I feel that. The feeling is so mutual. So, all right. Well, I will connect all of your details with this so people can contact, reach out, share. I have no doubt that you dropped many tidbits for individuals that could be anywhere on that spectrum. And so just really grateful for you taking your time out of your very busy schedule to come and share all that you did today.
Well, thank you for having me. I know you're also very busy and I really appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we're out.